learn from what you're doing, learn how to overcome adversity, learn that when you get really high and then you fall down, how to get back up and recreate yourself. And I'm excited to kind of share that story. I mean, this is next level because you have done so many great things, and you just announced to me recently, what was the deal you just did recently you were talking about?
Yeah, I just signed with HarperCollins Leadership for my new book, Leapfrogging Villains, to come out in 2021.
Leapfrogging Villains. I love that. What's that going to be about?
So I've been creating content around, first of all, I was fired 3 years ago from corporate America, right? From my chief revenue officer position. That's all I ever knew was success in corporate America. And when I had to redefine myself, the first thing I did was write a book. So fast forward 3 years to where I am today. What I've learned during this journey is the best content I can create is answering the questions people ask me on DMs and, in comments on posts and whatnot, because that's what they want to hear. So I hear all the time, how did you get from fired to where you are now? So I wrote a book exactly laying out everything that I did, the steps I took, the fails I had, the wins I had, and how I made it happen.
That's great. And look, in today's world, I think I have a motto. It's called no elevator in life, right? It's what I always say. There's no cheat sheet to get to the top. And it seems like those 3 years since you've been fired from corporate America, I spent about this much time in corporate America. I've done Verizon, First Union. I did those things. But people like yourself and me, we feel caged. We talked about that. There's so much more out there. So what seemed that might have been devastating turned to a blessing for you. You've then mapped that out for other people, and you have climbed those steps. And I know that you love to share that information and empower people out there, entrepreneurs, people that want to grind, and especially females. I mean, in today's world, it's so important that females are able to really be the future of the entrepreneurs. It's always been kind of like, oh, it's a little bit here. Even in our company, we've had a couple C-level executives that are females, and we are always like looking for the next great female to come in and kick some ass and take things to the next level. To see your story, I want to start with, how did that begin? How did you get to your corporate level position so high? I've seen you've been sales executive of the year, and you're a salesperson, which I can relate. I love sales. And then you got to the top at CRO. What did that look like? Who did you work with? How did that start?
Yeah, I started out poor. So when I was 9 years old, I started Paper Route. Then that led to bussing tables at a diner, which led to fast food restaurants, which was waiting tables, which led to higher end restaurants, waiting tables, which led to bartending. So that all happened from 9 to 2021 till I graduated college. What I didn't realize at the time was I was perfecting the art of sales and relating with people, right? I just thought I was hustling and working, but I was really fine tuning and getting a strategic advantage around these other people that were just maybe born wealthy, whatever, and getting jobs. I was walking in, I knew how to sell to people. I knew customer service. I knew how to relate to people. I had a really high EQ. I didn't think I had a high IQ, but I knew that I could emotionally understand people and empathize with them, help them solve their problems. And if I could do that, I would deliver revenue. So I got into the Gallo Winery right out of college and became the #1 salesperson, and boom, sexually harassed. I was not confident back then. So I just quit and I said, I'm out of here. Went to work in the radio business and met a great guy who, my whole thing back then was, as long as you don't hit on me, we're going to be fine. And he was a great guy, married, good human being. And he said, if you're driven by money, which I was because I grew up poor, he said, I will make you rich if you do what I tell you. And he taught me a lot around how to drive revenue quickly and how to advance myself in a 12-month period. He said, why don't you go run an operation for me? I proved myself. Obviously, I became his top seller that first year. It wasn't handed, but he saw something in me. And because he saw that in me, it made me feel more committed to delivering for him. I took over a $25 million property in Saginaw, Michigan. Yeah. And in under 2.5 years, we sold it for $55 million, netted our team $30 million. And I made a nice, sizable amount of money for myself at a very young age. I leveraged that to go to
how old were you at that time?
27 when we cashed out of the deal.
That's big time. And moving, where were you raised? Did you say you were?
Worcester, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. And then you go to Michigan, my beloved Michigan. It's cold and probably as gray as Massachusetts, we would agree, right?
Yeah.
And then you get that deal 27. That's solid. Okay, go ahead. I just wanted to know your age. So that's good.
Yeah, no, that really put me on the map in regards to you want to have some type of tangible credibility, right? To when you showcase and highlight your wins, this was something I could point to say, I was able to do this at a young age. I can do more. So I went to a larger company. I took a step back and took a smaller role for a lot less money. And I did that because I saw opportunity within the organization. I could see the organization did not have high level talent. So I knew if I could get in, I could get up. And sometimes you
You
have
have
to do that.
you have this intuition. So two times now you saw an opportunity where you saw that if you hooked up with this guy to give you the guidance and he was a great guy and he showed you the way, you trusted him, you did that. Then you took a step back because you had the intuition to see further past what was going to happen. A lot of people struggle with that. You saw, hey, if I do this, that map is going to get me a lot further in that company. That's a
So,
big, I mean, what was
but
that like to notice that?
okay, you brought up two things people need to recognize. One is you have to listen to your intuition. You have to listen to yourself. It's the most important voice you will ever have. Everyone else told me, you're crazy. You were just making all this money and now you're going to go work for 150,000 a year. You're not. Everyone around me was trying to protect me, saying, you're selling yourself short. I listened to me and I thought, they don't see what I'm seeing, right? So
Right.
listen to you and tune out the noise. Don't take advice from people who haven't been where you're going. That's like the most important thing I could tell anyone
I like
about
that.
getting ahead in business. The other thing is, working for good people. So I learned the hard way. If you go to work for bad people, you're going to have a bad experience. And to me, it's critical that you don't have to work for the smartest person in the world. Sometimes it's beneficial not to, because you can know that, hey, I can leapfrog this situation quickly. But at least they're good people. You want to work around good people who don't want to harm you, don't want to do negative things to you. So I learned those two lessons early. Listen to me over everything and work with good, nice people who want to help you and take care of you. And I did that. I went to work for a great guy at a publicly traded company. I pitched myself for a job that didn't exist for VP of sales. And I was awarded the position based upon, I gave them a trajectory that we were going to experience from a revenue standpoint based upon a 1-year window that I worked in a very small position for them. I said, I'm going to extrapolate this situation that you've seen across your entire organization. They gave me the job and we did that.
I see that. Where did you take that company to the next level? How old are you at that time?
So I was there from the time I was 40 till I was 43. No, 30 to 43, 13 years, 14 years. And we were billing 100 million annually when I arrived, and we more than doubled that company's revenues in a declining
Economy.
industry, right? So not only economy, but also industry. The radio industry declined massively during that time. So we were one of the only radio companies that was accelerating revenue and growth during that time. I was named one of the most influential women in radio July of 2017, and I was fired August 1st of 2017.
What's that like? I mean, what was that experience like? You're at the top of the world. You took this job everyone doubted, all the naysayers. You're proving them wrong. You had the intuition. You had the vision. You grinded. You proved results. You kept moving up. You kept making more money. You think you've got the world by the horns here, and all of a sudden, bam, this happens. What happened?
Well, what's funny is when I hear you describe it, it reminds me, I have a 13-year-old son, as we talked about, and my son used to say, Mom, you don't like going to work anymore. And there was a window those last couple of years where someone negative came into my space, my inner circle at a high level at the company. So the structure was changing and evolving, which happens at a lot of companies, right? You're either bought or acquired by another company. You get a new boss, there's the team, the C-suite changes. And when that happened, someone really negative that didn't like me came into my space and started chipping away at my confidence. I allowed it to happen, I accept full responsibility. I didn't stand up and shine my light more, which is what I should have done. I decided, hey, I'm going to shrink back. I make a lot of money. I'm a single mom. Like, I've got a lot to take care of. I'll just shrink back a little bit. She'll get her footing. All is well. We'll move on. But I was wrong. When I shrunk back a bit, she increased in size, which made my life more negative at work. She
Right.
took more control. It really shifted things in a very negative way that had I run it differently earlier on, there would have been a different outcome. But, it still worked out great because in the end, she gets promoted to CEO when her dad gets sick. She took over. She fired me immediately. I was suddenly unemployed at 43 years old when I was a high performing individual who had only had success in business. And I had to really recalibrate what is meaningful. I thought my paycheck was meaningful, my title, my team. And I started realizing, wait a minute, I'm still me.